Hello, and we are back with another round of the Long Island Crokinole Club Spring League 2026 tournament. We're now in the losers bracket, round 2. We've got Chris, who lost to X in the quarterfinals, and we've got Will, who lost to Andrew in the quarterfinals, facing off against each other. Now we've done a little bit of an introduction for Chris already. I think it's about time we introduce Will. Will's been playing Crokinole for many years, since I think about 2017. He's competed in multiple U.S. Opens before, Brooklyn tournaments. Will and Andrew are doubles partners nowadays. They were last partners in the Long Island Crokinole Club Classic, where Will scored 8th place. Will also got 6th place in Vermont before, done well in the U.S. Open. And it looks like they're about to tee off with Chris taking the first shot with a 20. Will be able to answer, and he hits a 20 of his own. Chris hits another 20. Chris is a very patient player. He always lines up the shot and takes a really good one. Makes it very consistent at 20s, and just in front of the hole. Will looking for a takeout 20 here and doesn't get it, but keeps his in the 15. Chris with an opportunity to hit Will's disc off the board or get a nice touch in for a 20. What a nice kiss there. And Will gonna go for a touch of his own or maybe a takeout, and a little bit hard for Will. He's still got 2 pieces in the middle to Chris's 1. Chris knocks a few pieces around, demotes one of his own, and leaves Will with an opportunity to get 3 pieces in that 15. And Will just knocks Chris right out. Players are technically tied right now, but Will does have hammer. Chris does not hit Will's piece off. Will going for another 20 off of the right side of that white disc. And doesn't get it, but gets some movement and gets right in front of the hole. Not an easy place for Chris if he wants to follow through and get a 20 on that shot. He went for it, but right into a peg. Now Will hits this white disc out, and he has a... Oh! A takeout 20. Great shot by Will. Disc floundered about there, but found its place in the 20 hole. And Chris probably going for a double on that one. Really needed something to happen in order to stay in this, but it looks like Will is going to hang on. And Will take the first 2 points of this match. And go up 2-0. Will taking the first shot of this round, and he sinks a 20. Chris with a 20 of his own, a little aggressive there, popped around, but ultimately fell into the hole. And Will gets a 20 as well. Chris with another 20. Will lands right in front of the hole. Chris could do a takeout 20 here. And he shoots it, nails it. 3 20s for Chris. Continuing the 20s race, right where they left off. Will hits a 20. Chris with another 20. '20s continuing to fall for each player here. Chris with another one. That's his 5th 20. 5 for Will now. Now Will is down to 20 because Chris hit that takeout 20 before, and Chris with his 6th 20. A perfect game potentially in reach for Chris here. Chris waving at the camera, hello. And Chris glides into a 20. This is 7 20s for Chris. Can't imagine what they're feeling. And Will hits a 20. 7 20s for Will. Chris super Steves this and they tie. Chris hits a 20 and Chris with the perfect game. Got on camera as well. Wow. I believe that is Chris's first ever perfect game. You'll have to correct me later if I'm wrong. But a perfect game and a win especially, which is really tough. A lot of perfect games result in ties, but getting a takeout 20 amongst that perfect game. Excellent game for Chris. And can he continue his streak? 8 20s in a row. And misses his first one. Chris has come back down to earth. Losing a game with 7 20s is never fun for Will. And Will can't hit on that one. Chris looking to capitalize here. Will does have the hammer advantage, but if Chris can sink this 20, then it's Chris's advantage now. Play is on Chris's side of the board. Will looking to bring it back to the middle. Maybe hit a 20 of his own. Will content to stick right there. And Chris just misses everything on that shot. Will get his advantage back right here with this. And he does with the 20. We're now tied in the cup, but Will has one on the board, and Will is hammer. And Chris with the second one in a row. He's hitting that peg. He's hitting the 20s. And Chris leaves himself out on the outside with Will hammer and up a 20. It's dangerous territory for Chris. Will does get the peel that he probably did not want at that point, but Chris could possibly hit off a peg and into the 20. He's going to go for it. And another peg. Will misses the 20, leaves an opportunity to Chris to go for a follow-through here. And he gets some movement, but not in the right direction. And if Will hits this one off the board, then that's going to be it for this round. And he does, and Will leaves his own disc on the board. Chris needs a double takeout 20 to tie. We don't see it happening, but let's see. Nope, he hit one off. And Will with his hammer. Hits Chris's around, but will still have the points to go up 4 points to 2. Will now have the first shot. This is a race to 7. Close match so far, but who knows what will happen. And Will with his first shot right out of the gate. First 20. Chris around and to the left. Now it's on Will's right. Will could go for a follow-through here on this one. And he gets some movement, brings it close to the peg. Chris can knock it straight out, and he does, but he loses his own shooter. He's going to force play back to the middle, where Will could capitalize on this or give Chris an opening. And a little bit of neither, because it's not close to the 20 hole. Not going to be easy for Chris to get a 20 off that. He does get the bounce back, but not getting the 20 on that when Will's remains on the board, on Will's side of the board, not going to be an easy task to come back from, especially when Will's hitting those. Take out 20. Chris is going to have to peel on this one, and he does. Will could go up 3 20s to none with this shot. And he doesn't, leaving an opening for Chris to get a takeout 20, get back in the game here with 4 shots left. And doesn't convert. Will's going to be content to leave this on the outside. Comes in a little bit. But Chris has a lot of work to do with only 3 shots left here. And he can't touch anything there. He was going for the angle off of that blue piece near the hole. And Will gets a touch 20 of his own. And players just playing it out now. Will take another 20. Chris will hit this one off. Or Chris rather just practicing his open 20s. And Will go up 6-2. Chris needs to win here to stay in it. A tie will no longer keep him in the game. Chris leading off into the 15, but does not give Will an easy look at a 20 here. Going to be a hard follow through. Does not get the follow on that one. Is Chris going to go for an angle off of this disc? And he does, but he doesn't hit the 20. 3 discs all on or near that 10-15 line. Will gets a little movement to keep his into the 15, I believe that is. And Chris knocks it right out. Now Will does have hammer, and that hammer advantage is sure coming into play right here, as after Will's shot, if he hits Chris off, he'll have more points on the board. But Will leaves it tied. And almost a perfect square of pieces that are opposite colors from the one next to it. Oh no, and Chris hits his piece out, hits Will's into the 20. And Will's gonna, if Will can hit Chris's piece off here, Will's gonna have a clean board with 2 pieces of his own on and up a 20. And Will does just that. Chris going for some fancy work over there, hitting the disc, getting off the peg. It's not an easy spot to hit your disc off there, but Will manages to hit Chris's disc. Chris may need to go for a double on this one. He is down a 20. He is playing against the hammer. And he gets one off. Very close to the hole, but not quite a 20. If Will can touch this in, that should just about do it. And he does. Will, an expert touch 20 shooter. And Chris gets Will's piece off, but it is not going to be enough because Chris does not have any 20s. So as long as Will hits one of Chris's pieces off right now, that will lock up this round. Chris does some hitting his own piece into Will's piece, but there's not enough points on the board to come back. Will's going to get one last touch 20 to take it home, 8-2, with Will moving on to the next round of Loser's Bracket.